It's time again for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the show covering fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation and destinations right here in the region you live and play in. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, makers of the world-famous wedding ring spinner, by Loophole, America's Optics Authority, and by Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Northwestern Outdoors is also sponsored by Wallowa County in Northeast Oregon, where you'll find both nature and fun. By Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing, offering you the affordable Canadian fishing trip of a lifetime. And by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. So grab your fishing rod or hunting gear, load up the boat or lace up your boots, and let's head outdoors with your host, John Cruz.
It's hard to believe it's already the middle of August. Where has our summer gone? There's still so much fishing to do, so many hikes to take, so many campouts I still want to enjoy, and so many new places I want to explore. If you're in the same boat as me, I get it. I really do. Time seems to move faster as you get older, and it moves even faster if you are a kid who's seen their summer school break draw to a close. With fishing in mind, we've got Lance Mers on board this week for a Max Minute to talk about the kokanee fishing at Odell Lake in Central Oregon. Two friends of mine, outdoors writers Dave Vetter and Dave Kilhefner, were there recently, and they just slayed the kokanee, bringing home a whole bunch of tasty red landlocked salmon fillets. On a less tasty but more profitable note, we'll also tell you how the pike minnow sport reward fishery on the Columbia and Snake River is going so far this summer. The top angler is making quite a bit of money, more than many of us make in a year, and we'll let you know some of the top producing spots, just in case you want to go out and catch some fish and make some money in the process. One curious thing about the month of August is that the heart of the hunter starts beating strong. If you're like me, you've probably found yourself at the range lately and thinking of hunts for birds and big game. That may be why we've got quite a bit for you hunters this week. We'll start off by introducing you to a very, very talented old dog that has not only learned some new tricks, but also became a national field trial champion in the process. Whether you're a hunter or a wildlife watcher, you'll be interested in hearing our conversation with Taylor Roberts with Carson about the hookup smartphone adapters he helped create that allow you to attach your smartphone to a spotting scope or a pair of binoculars. Why is this a big deal? Number one, less eye fatigue. You can see the image on your smartphone instead of squinting through the glass. Second, you can photograph or video what you're seeing through the optical device you've attached it to, getting some incredible footage in the process. One set of hunters who relies on optics are bighorn sheep hunters. We'll be talking to bighorn sheep hunting guide Joe Mosier today. He's got some great advice for any of you lucky enough to have drawn a sheep tag, and for those of you who still hope to, so you can get that ram of a lifetime. Not only is bighorn sheep season here, but so is bear hunting season. Do you have the gear you need to bag that Bruin this summer or fall? Outdoors writer and avid bear hunter Troy Rodakowski joins us for a Loaded for Bear segment where he breaks down all the gear you'll want to have when you head afield. In addition to this, we've got some outdoors news segments you'll want to hear and several great, and I mean really, really great events coming up at Sportsman's Warehouse stores in the next couple of weeks in Washington, Idaho, and Montana. But first, Matt and Tom are back with another edition of Sportsman Spotlight. And this week, they're talking with their good friend Josh Mills about early season summer steelhead in the inland Northwest.
This is Sportsman Spotlight with Matt and Tom.
It's that time of year where we should start seeing some steelhead showing up, so I thought I should reach out to Josh Mills to see what he's seen in the river systems.
Well, steelhead season's really starting, just kind of getting rolling here on the Columbia River. Like the nerds like myself, we watch the dam counts pretty heavily, and Bonneville's starting to pop every day, getting between 1,800 and 2,000 fish, and we're just waiting on that first really big surge, which, somewhere in the 5,000 to 10,000 fish a day over Bonneville. And as time progresses, it'll work its way up the Columbia River system. At this time, the Deschutes, the Klickitat, and a few of those other lower Columbia River systems, probably the Hood and so on and so forth, are starting to fish. I went out last Friday, played a little hooky from work, and tried to go fish the early season on the Clearwater. There's not a lot of fish around, but they're kind of like finding that needle in the haystack, and when you find them, they kind of melt your line away pretty quick because they're really, really, really fast and rambunctious fish. Prime time for some of the inland stuff that we really center in on on the Clearwater, on the Grand Ronde, on the Snake, and so forth, is really mid-September and beyond, but really peaks well in October and November. Of course, I'm the crazy guy that continues to fish for them throughout the year through January, but we're right on the cusp of another great inland steelhead season on the Columbia River tributaries.
Thanks, Josh, for your information. We'll reach out to you here in a few weeks and see how the season's picking up.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, hard-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
Want to earn a serious reward? You can, and all you need is a fishing rod. There's money to be made catching northern pike minnow. There's too many of them in the Columbia and Snake Rivers, and we'll pay you cash to catch them. Pike minnow eat our salmon and steelhead, and that's no good. The season starts May 1st, runs through September, and the more fish you catch, the more you earn. How much money can you make from this program? Well, last year, one angler earned a cool $100,000. Find out more at pikeminnow.org. That's pikeminnow.org. Go ahead, collect your reward.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. Next, we are taking you back to Billings, Montana. That's where the Outdoor Writers Association of America held their annual conference, and we had a day out at the range where we got to meet a couple of really interesting people with some fascinating stories. We're broadcasting from the Blue Creek Shooting Range, located south of Billings, Montana, and I'm sitting here looking at two absolutely beautiful English Cocker Spaniels, but these dogs are truly top dogs. With us here to tell us more is their trainer, Paul McGaw.
Good morning, and welcome to everybody.
So, Paul, these two dogs, like I said, very special. You've got Lonnie, you've got Kona, and I understand we're looking at true field champions here, aren't we?
We are. They're owned by a client of mine, John Bishop, who's a dentist from Boulder, Colorado. Lani is the current national championship winner, Cocker Spaniel. She won in November of last year, which was the last national championship in Michigan, and Kona actually placed fourth.
Now, Lonnie, they both look like very young dogs, right. but Lonnie is actually 9 years old, beautiful black and white cocker.
Lani has an interesting life story. She is 9 years old. She's coming on actually 9.5. I trained her as a young dog in my kennel in North Dakota, and John took her home and he wild bird hunted her pretty aggressively, mostly in Nebraska and Colorado, for almost 6 years. Now, when she was 6 years old, she got a little bit sluggish on him, and he took her to the vets, and she had a life-threatening seed-orn problem, where she'd got a seed-orn in a lung and had what is called pyothorax, and she was as close to death as she could get. They opened her chest all the way open and saved her life, but they weren't sure. They took part of her lungs away, so we're not sure she could certainly ever hunt again.
So what happens next?
Well, John calls me and asked me to train the young dog that he'd just got. She'd be 7 or 8 months old at the time, Kona, and he said, would you mind taking Lani back, who at this time is 7 years old, and maybe try and refresh her a little bit? I had big reservations about that because, first of all, health-wise, and also a 7-year-old hunting dog that had just purely been wild bird hunting for the last 6 years. It's just not a great recipe to try and, without pressure, and I didn't want to do that. So he took some wrangling to get me to take her.
So you went ahead and trained her, and it turns out that she's an absolute natural.
Here's the interesting thing about her that for me is unique, is she basically stepped right back into training that she'd had 6 years ago. And John had also kept her steady. He'd kept her close to him. He hadn't let her break on wild birds, I don't think, because her training just seemed extraordinarily natural to come back to her. So I said to him, listen, this is the last thing I would have considered, but do you want to run her in a competition? So it was the fall of 2 years ago. We ran her in a upper 30 dog field trial in North Dakota, The first time she'd ever been run, she ended up winning it.
Wow.
Which was completely... She's not the fastest thing in the world because she's older, but she's so smart. She's so engaged with me or with John, and she has tremendous ability. So she won that, and it qualified her for the national championship that was held close to Altoona, Pennsylvania that fall 2 years ago. So we took her out, and she got 4th place in a field of probably 75 cockers.
And this was the first time that she'd been competing on the national level?
Totally the first time. It was her first year of doing anything. What I thought that was the most incredible journey. So I sent her home to John and wrote it down as a one-off. Then there was a little caveat to that. Last fall, because she was qualified, actually because of placing the year before, she was qualified for this year's national, or last November's national championship. So he said, do you want to run her again? And she was 8. And I said, I don't think we've got so many good young dogs. She's 8 years old. She ran once. She placed once. Let's leave it at that. And he said, listen, if you're going anyway, I'll just take her and run her. And the long and the short of it is we took her to the national championship in Michigan last November, and a field of 80-plus dogs, and she is basically an 8-plus-year-old hunting dog, and she's now the current national champion.
Well, there you go, folks. Old dogs really can learn new tricks. So, Paul, Glencoe Farm and Kennel, how can folks get a hold of you and maybe get their dog trained at a really high level?
You can reach me at glencoekennels.net.
That's Glencoe, Glencoe, kennels.net, glencoekennels.net. Paul, thanks for sharing this very inspirational story.
My pleasure.
Next up on this Outdoor Writers Association of America version of Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're taking you to the Blue Creek Shooting Sports Complex, and there's kind of a bunch of demos going on here, and one of them that's caught my attention is from Carson Optical. They're based out of New York. They've got a smartphone optics adapter. With us here to tell us more about it is one of the men who designed it, Taylor Roberts. Taylor, tell our listeners about this. This is really cool.
Yeah, this is a new product that we're excited about. We released an earlier version of this product a couple of years ago, and this is an update that's just incredibly better than the first version. This update is better for the bigger phones, your iPhone 6 Pluses, your Samsung Galaxy Notes, and it also holds on to each optic a lot better. It can basically use the camera on your phone to attach to any kind of circular optical device, such as binoculars, spotting scopes, even telescopes if you're into astronomy, or microscopes if you're into biology. Anything your mind can think of, as long as it's within about a 30 millimeter to 60 millimeter diameter range for that device.
Well, you've got it set up on a spotting scope, and 3 things come to mind. Number 1, it's really easy on the eyes. A lot of times with the spotting scopes and binoculars, you have to kind of struggle sometimes to really get that good point of view just between the eyes and the cup, so to speak. But number 2, it's the fact that you can take photos and you can take video. I mean, that is fantastic using the spotting scope or a telescope or binos.
Absolutely. We actually just shot a promotional video for this, and I was out doing some of the shots for it, and we were looking at the moon and just getting incredibly clear photos of the moon through their telescope at night, and it was awesome, and I couldn't wait to share with my friends via social media or any kind of other outlet.
So this new smartphone optics adapter that you've come out with, again, this fits on all the new phones and quite a few of the older ones too.
Yeah, absolutely. It fits most of the smartphones on today's market and most of your optical devices that are on the market as well.
What's it retail for?
This is a brand new product that's coming out in September. It hasn't been released yet. I think you're looking in the $60 to $70 range, so it's definitely a good alternative for those who are out with big telescopic camera lenses that are in the thousands of dollars, and this is pretty inexpensive, so we like it a lot.
Well, and again, if you're into wildlife watching, folks, birds in some situations, I would imagine nesting birds that aren't moving a lot, or, wildlife like bighorn sheep or bison or elk off in the distance, put this on a spotting scope, take some video, take some pictures. This is really cool, and the price point's good too. What's the website where people can find out more about it?
Yeah, you can find us at carson.com. We have a wide range of products, not just outdoors, but anything optical as well.
And you can also find this in a lot of the big chain sporting goods stores, too. Again, it's from Carson Optical. It's the Universal Smartphone Optics Adapter. Check it out. Put it on your spotting scope. I think you'll be pleased. Taylor, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
This is the time of year to get out and cook out. So make your next meal sizzle with Camp Chef, the brand known for quality outdoor cooking. From camp stoves to cast iron, from smokers to grills, Camp Chef will change the way you cook outdoors. To eat like a king on your next adventure, go to campchef.com or visit your local sporting goods store and get cooking. Whether you're serving breakfast in the backcountry or barbecue on the back patio, savor the simplicity with Camp Chef. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. Join the Habitat Leader and help create wildlife habitat in your community. Go to pheasantsforever.org.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. This week, we're taking you to Odell Lake. It's located in Oregon's Central Cascades, and it's best known as a great place to go fishing for lake trout. But with us here today to tell us about a different species you can catch down there is Lance Mers with Max Lure Company. Lance, what else are we fishing for at Odell Lake?
Kokanee.
Kokanee. Who would have thunk? Tell me more.
The kokanee fishing down at Odell Lake is absolutely phenomenal. You get a 25 fish limit a day.
Wow.
It's absolutely fantastic fishing. There's an abundance of kokanee, and everybody's going to have a great time.
Any size, or are we talking your little 7 to 9 inchers here?
They're the average size for kokanee. I guess the biggest kokanee I've heard so far is a 16-inch.
You know, that's not a bad kokanee at all.
Very nice.
And folks, if you haven't tried kokanee before, trust me on this. Try some right off the grill. You're going to fall in love with these fish. They taste fantastic. So we've gotten that far, but I guess we better talk about how to catch them out of Odell Lake. What do you recommend?
My go-to, John, is the Max Lure Cha-Cha Kokanee Squidder, or otherwise known as a hoochie. It's got number 4 hooks, no gap at all, with a 0.8 smile blade, and it comes in 8 different styles, and the action on these squidders are absolutely phenomenal.
So are you fishing this behind generally a Max Double D Dodger and below a downrigger generally?
That's right. Yeah, you can long line it if you wanted to, but I use it behind a Dodger on my downriggers, and I'm using about a 12 to 14-inch leader behind that Dodger.
Well, there you go, folks. That's how you can catch some kokanee, too, out of Odell Lake in Oregon's Central Cascades. The lure to use, again, is the Cha-Cha Kokanee Squidder. It's made by Max Lure Company. Look for it in a store near you or online at maxlure.com. And that wraps up another Max Minute from Max Lure Company. Hot summer nights mean hot morning fishing for sockeye here in the Northwest, and Max Lure Company has got what you need to catch a limit with the Double D Dodger and 2 great sockeye rigs. The Double D Dodger has a unique fast, slow action and can be fished away from the boat without a side planer. The Cha-Cha Sockeye Rig and Double Whammy Sockeye Pro both feature a patented smile blade and 2 stout red hooks that won't let go of that salmon when it bites. Max Lure Company, getting you into the sockeye this summer.
Tired of the same old fishing hole? Then head to Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Enjoy a weekend on the glacial waters of Wallowa Lake, where you can troll for the deep water excitement of kokanee or cast your line for some trout fishing fun. Bring your float tube or canoe and enjoy fishing in some of Wallowa County's small lakes. Or don your waders and step into the clear waters of the Wallowa, Imnaha, or Grand Ronde rivers. Early to bed, early to rise, fish all day, and there'll be no need for lies when you fish the waters of Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Visit us online at wallawacountychamber.com.
Want to earn a serious reward? You can, and all you need is a fishing rod. There's money to be made catching northern pike minnow. There's too many of them in the Columbia and Snake Rivers, and we'll pay you cash to catch them. Pike minnow eat our salmon and steelhead, and that's no good. The season starts May 1st, runs through September, and the more fish you catch, the more you earn. How much money can you make from this program? Well, last year, one angler earned a cool $100,000. Find out more at pikeminnow.org. That's pikeminnow.org. Go ahead, collect your reward.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. Bighorn sheep season is right around the corner. And if you drew a tag, you probably just drew the tag of a lifetime, because in a lot of places here in the Northwest, it's a once-in-a-lifetime tag for a bighorn sheep. So let's say you've got that tag, or you're gunning for it for next year, and you get it. How do you make sure you get that ram? Well, we've got the guy that's going to help you out. His name is Joe Mosier. Outside of hunting season, you'll find him working behind the gun counter at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in East Wenatchee. But during hunting season, Joe is a bighorn sheep hunting guide, works for a couple of outfitters, Sawtooth Outfitters out of the Pateros area in north central Washington, and John Barker, another outfitter that he works for, and his website is barkerhunts.com. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Joe. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Now, I understand you've guided, 11 hunters over the years to successful bighorn kills?
Yeah, 11 or 12, something like that.
No, something like that. And the funny thing about it is, as successful as you are as a guide, you've never drawn that once-in-a-lifetime tag yourself, have you?
I can't even win one. I put in for all of them, and $5 a pop. Still can't win one.
Well, at least you're living vicariously through the success of others, but a lot of the credit clearly goes to you as the guide. And why don't you just go ahead and tell our listeners, just as a for example, about the hunt you had last year? That was one heck of a story.
Oh, yeah, I had an amazing hunt last year. We had the statewide California sheep lottery guy. I was up scouting up in the Slam Butte area and had a fantastic ram, and I watched him for several weeks. And then the fires blew through there, and I lost him for 2 weeks.
Oh, boy.
Didn't find him until 2 days before the hunter got there. Ended up with a 180-inch ram. It was 2016 Sheep Foundation California Bighorn of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just fantastic.
So you've pointed out something really important here for anyone who does draw that tag, and that's the importance of scouting. And it's not just going out there and glassing the slopes and finding that ram a month beforehand and driving away and coming back and hoping it's there. It's really about patterning that animal and figuring out what it's doing all day long, isn't it?
Oh, you have to watch them. Those things will pick up and travel 5 miles. And if you're not staying on them, you'll lose them.
So, for example, this ram last year, before you lost him during the fires, you were checking on that animal every day to keep track of him, weren't you?
I was probably 5 to 6 days a week. I was up there making sure where he was at.
That is some commitment. Again, if you do get this tag, it's a once-in-a-lifetime tag, so I get it. But if you're out there, folks, and you're listening and you're thinking, I don't have time to do that, that's what people like Joe are for. That's part of the guiding fee, is the preseason scouting. What else do hunters need to do if they want to bag that once-in-a-lifetime bighorn?
Field judging is pretty much everything, because that's going to tell you how old the animal is and basically what size the animal is. And once you can kind of learn what you're looking for and what you're looking at, it makes it a lot easier.
Tell me more about that, because to me, there's big rams with big horns and there's ones with not such big horns. It's a lot more to it than that, isn't it?
Oh, there is, because I've got a picture. It's on my phone, the one that comes up every time my phone comes on. It's of a great-looking ram, but he's only 6 years old, and he needs to be about 10.
Wow. So when it comes to this field judging, especially looking through a spotting scope at a ram that's in a distance, how do you know if it's the ram you want?
The larger rams pretty much stick out even when they're by themselves, because usually the tips of the horns are back up to the bridge of the nose, and it's pretty defining.
So let's talk something else about rams and their habits. I presume that these are animals that are going to be coming down to water in the morning or the evening and bedding down during the day, or is it a little more complicated than that?
It's a lot more complicated. I've found more water holes watching sheep than I could ever even dream of. It'll just be a little pocket in the rocks. Just got water coming out of it. And I watch these things and it amazes me what they do.
Physical conditioning, how important is that for a successful bighorn sheep hunt?
It's big, but it's not. I mean, you don't have to be a great athlete to do this, because you can go at your own pace, but you do have to be in fairly good shape.
So here's the next question then. You're going to be in some decent shape. You're going to pattern that animal. It comes to opening day. Let's talk about finding the animal on the day of and closing the deal. What are certain steps hunters need to do to make sure they're going to be successful?
If you saw him there that many times, he's there. Be patient. I can't tell you the amount of times that we sat there. It's like, no, he's an hour late. He's not here. What happened? And then next thing you know, there it is. Be patient. You have your information. Go with it.
The other question I got for you is the basic, caliber of rifle and what kind of ammo do you like to shoot when it comes to bighorn sheep?
Caliber, anything you're going to shoot a deer with is going to be fine. I've seen some devastating shots with some great bullets that just blew me away, but Nosler VLDs are pretty amazing.
Nosler puts out some real good ammo, that's for sure. And let's talk about practicing for that shot before the season starts, because unlike a deer or an elk where you might have basically a flat trajectory, there's going to be a lot of shooting uphill, shooting downhill when it comes to these bighorns, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like being on a cow's face. Yeah, that's where your practice is, straight up, straight down. Anything else hunters need to know before they head afield with that lucky tag? Put the glasses to your face. Don't spook the animals. Don't bother them at all. Let them do what they do. Joe, I understand come August 20th, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the East Wenatchee Sportsman's Warehouse store, you're actually going to give a seminar about bighorn sheep and field judging. Yeah, it's real big to know what you're looking at. So I'm going to do a seminar that Saturday and tell you everything I can tell you, and go look at sheep yourself. Last but not least, if somebody wants to book you as a guide to help them get their bighorn, where should they go? I guide for Sawtooth Outfitters and their website at altalake.com, and then also John Barker, which is barkerhunts.com. He's out of Lewiston, Idaho, so that's where you go through to get to me. All right, so the websites, again, would be barkerhunts.com if you want to book Joe through John Barker, or Sawtooth Outfitters. Brian Verrilman owns that outfit up by Pateros, Washington. That website, altalake.com. Joe, great advice, and I'm pretty sure it's going to help at least one or two listeners out there get a bighorn. Thanks so much for sharing it with us on Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Hey, thanks for having me, John. Nice talking to you.
I'd like to tell you I just brought down that buck, but I didn't. I missed. And you know why I missed? Because of the scope I've got on my rifle. You see, my friends told me to get a Leupold rifle scope. Why? Well, because Leupold is America's optical authority. They make a huge variety of quality scopes for every need, and they make them right here in the Northwest. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. I used the cheap scope that came with this rifle when I bought it. And when it came time to pull the trigger, well, let's just say things were a little blurry. Now, I've got nothing to look forward to except a long, empty-handed walk back home. Next time I come out into the field, there's going to be a Leupold scope on my rifle. And next time, I'm not going to miss.
Leupold rifle scopes. Check out the whole line at leupold.com and look for them at a sporting goods store near you.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
Tired of the noise, the hustle and bustle of the city? Then find your solitude in the lands of Wallowa County. Bring your camping gear and hike into the Eagle Cap Wilderness. Explore the Zumwalt Prairie. Rise with the sun on the Wallowas and hear the early morning stirring of the wildlife. Smell the fresh coffee, the sizzling bacon, and the crackle of the fire. This is a good life, and it's waiting for you in Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Come and enjoy one of Oregon's 7 wonders, and you'll wonder why you haven't been here before. Your getaway starts at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time for some news. We've been telling you about the Pike Minnow Sport Reward Fishery for a few months now. It's a multi-agency program meant to reduce the numbers of northern pike minnow in the Columbia and Snake River system, which in turn will result in fewer steelhead and salmon smolt being eaten by these predatory fish. Anglers can participate by registering at a designated station. Then you go fishing, and when you're done fishing, you turn in your pike minnow at the station. The fish are worth anywhere from $5 to $8 each, and there are tagged fish, too, that are worth up to $500. The top angler so far this year has caught over 8,500 pike minnow and has earned over $68,000 for his troubles. The hotspots lately have been Boyer Park on the Snake River, where in July, anglers were averaging anywhere from 9.5 to 19 fish each. Another good place to catch pike minnow is near the Ridgefield Marina on the Lower Columbia, where anglers have averaged 10 to 15 fish each over the last few weeks. You can find out more about how to participate in this program and where the fishing is good by going to pikeminnow.org. That website again, pikeminnow.org. In other news, I read a very interesting blog post from Rich Landers. He's the outdoors columnist for the Spokesman Review. The subject of the blog was the problem of trash being left at boat ramps and wildlife area access points. Anyone who has been to these public places has seen exactly what I'm talking about. It is an eyesore. It is a big issue. But here's an interesting question. Do you think the problem is worse where garbage cans are provided or where they're not provided and signs tell visitors to pack out their garbage? According to Rich Landers' source at the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, the problem is much worse at places where trash cans are provided. What invariably happens is the can is filled and then garbage is left not only all around the can, but all over the general area where trash-happy visitors assume someone is going to pick it all up. On the other hand, where no garbage cans are left out, and visitors are advised to take their garbage with them, by and large, the amount of trash left at these sites is much less. An interesting factoid for you to consider the next time you go to a public lands access area or boat launch and wonder why no trash cans are around. And from the Oregonian, we have a heartwarming yet frustrating story about 2 misguided do-gooders who rescued a little kitty cat, which turned out to be a bobcat. The bob kitten, estimated to be around 2 months old, was picked up by a couple near Eagle Point, Oregon, who thought the animal was distressed. The animal is now at the Portland Zoo, and fortunately, a permanent home has been found for the animal. Unfortunately, the mother of the bob kitten was probably close by, and this bobcat was probably never in distress and will now never be able to live out its life in the wild. Michelle Dennehy with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife says, if you see a young animal alone, please leave it where it is. And she goes on to explain that removing an animal from the wild is both illegal and reduces its chances for survival. Next, it's time to talk hunting, specifically bear hunting. Next on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, it is bear season, and we thought we'd talk to a real expert. His name, Troy Rodakowski. He's an outdoors writer. He's based in Western Oregon. He loves to go bear hunting, and we thought we would ask him, when it comes to being loaded for bear, what does that look like? Troy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate being on.
So the topic, loaded for bear. We're talking about the gear a bear hunter needs to have the best chance of success in the woods. And I guess we're going to start off with the rifle. When it comes to calibers for black bear, anywhere from Northern California up through Washington into the Rocky Mountain Stakes, what are we looking at?
You know, a lot of the people are going to want to shoot magnums like 7mm short mags, which can reach out and touch somebody, but also has a really good pop behind it, or a 300, 338. Those are the calibers that you're going to want to load with, and, you know, anywhere from a 165 grain bullet to 210 grain bullet, depending on what type of terrain you're going to be hunting in. That's what people need to keep in mind for bears. Where are you going to be? Are you going to be shooting long distance, or are you going to have potentially close range shot?
So when I hear about calibers like this, I immediately think of knockdown power. Is that what you're looking for? Breaking those bones down, getting that bear down to the ground in a hurry with some force?
Yes, and the main thing is when you do think about a bear, they're solid muscle. They're very strong. They're very quick. You don't want a wounded bear. You want to do the animal justice and harvest it quickly and ethically. So that's what you need to be thinking of when you're out bear hunting.
When it comes to ammunition, you mentioned some of the bullets, but is there any particular brands of ammo that you tend to favor over others?
I prefer Federal, and Burger Bullets also makes a very good round nozzlers, very liked by many sportsmen. There are so many out there. And then again, that also comes back to what I've been saying. Every gun's going to shoot a different bullet, and it's up to the specific hunter to decide what brand of bullet shoots best through their rifle.
So the rifle's important. The bullet's important. Yes. Obviously, you're going to want to go ahead and test both of them out at the range before you get to the field, and make sure you've got that scope dialed in as well. But speaking of optics, is that important when it comes to bear hunting? Do you need to have spotting scope or binoculars when you're out there?
Absolutely. In fact, a lot of the bear hunting is all about optics. You're going to spot that bear from, thousands of yards away, potentially, depending on the country you're hunting in, and you're going to have to either put a stock on it and switch from a spotting scope to field glasses when you get into closer range and cut that distance in half, or, you're getting closer to that animal. But, yeah, optics are essential. And good optics. You can tell how big a bear is from a long ways if you want to put a stock on it with a really good spotting scope. If it's a boar or a sow, yeah, if you can see, that's half the battle right there.
What else does a hunter need when it comes to being loaded for bear that's going to help them out in the field?
I think most hunters just need to remember that as far as gear goes, you're going to need a good pack. If you're going into the backcountry, you're going to need a good pack, plenty of water. I like to have a little wind tester, something to, the little powder squirt in the air. That's the main thing. The bears can smell from miles away, and all it takes is a 1 scent particle. Scent killer is also a good thing, anything that smells off to them, and that's going to ruin the hunt for you. So those things are very important.
And I guess one other thing we should talk about here, you kind of mentioned it a little bit with the pack, but after the kill, what kind of gear do you need to go ahead and butcher that animal in the field and get it back to where you're going?
Well, you're going to need, obviously, a really sharp knife. I love Kershaw knives. There are several knives out there on the market, Buck, Kershaw, you name it, that make good products. Also, maybe a hatchet if you need to break some of those bones apart so you can get them on your pack. And also good strap to tie the meat down to your pack and get it out of there, or a game bag that's very durable that can handle quite a bit of weight.
And, of course, a cell phone and a couple of friends to help you haul all that meat out of the backcountry.
That's right. As long as you can get service, man, that's the next best thing right there. Make some phone calls, send some texts, hurry up,
All right. Well, folks, there you go. You two are now ready to be loaded for bear and have success out there. Troy, you got some articles that are coming up in Oregon Hunter. Tell our listeners about them.
I do. I've got a deer hunting preview in Oregon Hunter coming out, and then I've also got an elk hunting article about hunting here in the state of Oregon. Yeah, keep an eye out for them here in the next month or two, and I hope all the listeners enjoy reading some of that stuff.
That's Troy Rodakowski, folks, and be sure to listen to our sister show, America Outdoors Radio, because Troy's going to be coming back in September to give you some tips on bagging a September Bruin, just in case you don't get one this month. Troy, thanks as always. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. Great pleasure.
At Loophole Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Loophole product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at loophole.com. Want to earn a serious reward? You can, and all you need is a fishing rod. There's money to be made catching northern pike minnow. There's too many of them in the Columbia and Snake Rivers, and we'll pay you cash to catch them. Pike minnow eat our salmon and steelhead, and that's no good. The season starts May 1st, runs through September, and the more fish you catch, the more you earn. How much money can you make from this program? Well, last year, one angler earned a cool $100,000. Find out more at pikeminnow.org. That's pikeminnow.org. Go ahead, collect your reward.
A quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coast-Wide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, hard-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of its Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
One more time this week for Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
We've got some really exciting upcoming events to tell you about, and they're all taking place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores here in the Northwest. The first one is the Eastman's Trophy Deer Tour. If you want to see some really incredible trophy mounts and learn the stories about these animals, then you've got to check out Eastman's Trophy Deer Tour. They go all over the United States with different trophies each year, and this year, they've got 12 new trophies coming to the Northwest. They're going to be on display this weekend through Sunday at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Spokane, and next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 19th through the 21st, at the store in Missoula. Don't miss out on this great tour. And while you're at Sportsman's Warehouse, pick up what you need for hunting season this year. Who knows? Maybe you'll have a trophy that'll be on the Eastman's Trophy Deer Tour. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, on Saturday, the 13th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Helena Sportsman's Warehouse, there's going to be an Echoes and the Elkhorns elk calling contest. That's right, it's their first annual elk calling contest. Over $2,000 in prizes and gift cards are going to be given away for the winning contestants. There's men's categories, women's, and youth categories. It's taking place from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Who knows, you might be able to register and get in there yourself, but even if you can't, you're going to be able to hear some very good talent here. Should be a lot of fun. That's the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Helena. Don't forget the trail camera photo contest that's taking place at the Idaho Falls Sportsman's Warehouse store. This has been going on since July 1st. It will continue until August 31st. What happens is you submit a photo taken by your trail camera. If you've got a good photo and you only get to submit one per trail camera, just take it to the customer service desk, tell them it's for the trail camera photo contest, and with any luck, you might be the winner that wins a stealth trail camera. Last but not least, on Saturday, August 20th, from 2 to 3 p.m. at the East Wenatchee store, you heard Joe Mosier earlier in the show talking about bighorn sheep hunting. Well, he's giving an hour-long seminar on that subject, all about bighorn sheep and judging what a good ram looks like from a distance. I think you're going to want to hear what he has to say. Free seminar, again, Saturday, August 20th, 2 to 3 p.m. at the East Wenatchee Sportsman's Warehouse store. These are just a few of the events that take place at Sportsman's Warehouse stores around the Northwest. Go to sportsmanswarehouse.com, go to the bottom of the page, and go to the Events tab and find out what's taking place at a store near you. And now, it's time for your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week. This one might not be as easy as you think it is. I'm going to ask you for the tallest mountain in the lower 48. That's right. What do you think it is? Do you think it's Mount Hood, maybe Mount Rainier, or maybe some other mountain that's maybe not even in the Northwest? You might be thinking of the Rockies. You might be thinking of the Sierra Nevadas. Give us your guess for the tallest mountain in the lower 48. If you guess right, you will be entered for a chance to win the $25 gift card we give away every week. You can enter through our Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio, or if you prefer, go to our website at northwesternoutdoors.com. Simply go to the Contact Us page and let us know what's the tallest mountain in the lower 48 states. While you're on the web, check out our sister show at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. This show is growing. We're up to 25 affiliates now in 5 states, and this show covers fishing, hunting, and the shooting sports. If you don't have it yet in your market, call up your station. Let them know you want America Outdoors Radio as part of your weekend. If enough people call, there's a good chance we'll be airing there soon. Another website to check out, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. That's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Both of our shows, America Outdoors Radio and Northwestern Outdoors Radio, air on this internet station, and you can catch us there. That's all for this week. Summer is fading fast, so you better get out there and enjoy it while you can. And don't forget, hunting season is kicking off, so get ready for that as well. Until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.